Okay, so I'm in section 2. These are the 3 biggies. So we know what's being taxed. Who has to pay it? Section 2. That's not there. Section 3, not there. Go to the index. Look under income tax. Go all the way down. I'll just go down to liability. I'll find it. It's not there. Go to the index or the Internal Revenue Code. Look under income tax. Look for the word liability for tax. Not there. So I said, liability indexes. Any lawyers here? Law students? Right? You know how notoriously bad indices are. They're all done by common law people, aren't they? They don't have any idea. So I went and I looked under liability, and I said, I'll find income tax to get it that way. Nope, not there. Now, I didn't have electronic, research back then. This was in the early 90s, 94. I was way behind. They had it, but I didn't. So I went through that code, not just subtitle A, the income tax, the entire code. 1 page at a time, 1 paragraph at a time, 1 sentence at a time, 1 line at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not there. There's no law that says that you owe the tax. You don't owe it any more than you owe the tire manufacturer's tax. Now, that wasn't the end of the story. I had to find out why. This was too big a fluke. This is too big a hole. Something's wrong here. And I ended up conducting research. I went all the way back to the first income tax in 1862. I went all the way back to the first excise tax in 1789-90, Hilton. I went all the way back to the Magna Carta. I came all the way back forward, Declaration of Independence. And gentlemen and ladies, I don't know how much you know about the Constitution or the history or whatnot of it. I hope that later you're going to know more than you know now, because I hope I'm going to spur you to maybe go do some more reading. But you're looking at one of the few people in the world who's not only read every word of the Constitution, but has read anti-federalist papers as well as the Federalists, and every word of Jimmy Madison's notes on the Constitutional Convention, and every word that I could find that any of the fathers that were there. Thomas Jefferson, the most quoted man on the United States Constitution. If you look into court cases, the most quoted man on the United States Constitution was Thomas Jefferson. He wasn't even there. He was in France. But I've read what the guys who were there had to say. And I don't know if anybody understands it any better than I do. So all that research caused me to draw a few conclusions. And of course you can't get around the fact that there's no liability. The only people that there's only one liability provision, there is one. So if anybody tells you there's no liability provision, that's not true. There is a liability provision. There's one. Section 1461 of Title 26 says that those persons who are required to withhold taxes on non-resident aliens and foreign corporations are liable for the payment of the income tax. That's who's liable for the income tax. Now, big question is why? Why do they do this? What happened? And why are they lying to us? So that's what I spent the next 2 years doing. I dug up the whole body. I dug up every bone, dug up every shred of hair, every fingernail left. I did an autopsy. I came back forward, 1913, 1895 with the Pollock case, 1913 with the ratification. I'm going to put that aside for now. Everybody here that wants to argue about ratification, we can do that some other day. Of the 16th Amendment, 1913. The 1913 income tax, when Congress thought that they had hit the mother load. 1916, January, Brushaber. Supreme Court says, no, sir, you haven't hit the mother load. You can't tax anything today that you couldn't tax before the 16th Amendment. And anything that you couldn't tax before the 16th Amendment, you can't tax today. Didn't give you any new taxing authority. You already had the power to tax income within your taxing authority. And that's all you have today. The only thing that you've got is that we can't use the source of that income to determine that it's a direct tax and require you to apportion. Now, how many folks, we're talking about the Constitution here, how many folks in here would say that the issue of abortion, the right of each state to make up its own mind as to whether it's going to allow abortions to be committed within its sovereignty, is the most important issue relative to the Constitution? How many of you, show of hands? All right. How many of you would think that states' rights in general is the most important issue? Okay, that's a bunch. How many of you think that getting the government out of our education system, returning that to our state and local governments, is the most important issue? I'm seeing some people vote twice, and that's okay. How many people think that the most important constitutional issue that we have right now is this confusion between the separation of church and state and the separation of God and state, and not understanding the difference between the two? How many of you think that's the most important?
I think they understand it.
All right, well, I'm here to tell you, all of you are wrong.
I never raised my hand.
Yeah, you were right. You're the only one who was right.
I'm still not sure what
All right, now, the reason that you're all wrong is that none of those issues is the most important one. All of them are. Let me tell you something about your Constitution that I've learned a long time ago. This Constitution is the most brilliant piece of work ever produced by man. I have never seen anything. The Magna Carta was a brick, it was a cornerstone, but this Constitution is a cathedral. This Constitution is the most ingenious, and I'm convinced that I can make a hell of a case for you that this Constitution was divinely granted to us. And just real quick, I'll give you the basic of that. You know, our Constitutional Convention was stalled after a couple of months. The only thing that they knew was that they weren't going to try to fix the Articles of Confederation, which was nothing more than the equivalent of a NATO treaty. It was a mutual defense treaty. That's all it was. It wasn't a government. The United States of America didn't exist until 1789. We celebrate July 4th, 1776, but that didn't declare the United States to exist. It declared these colonies to be free and individual, separate, and sovereign states, independent states. Okay, these colonies will be sovereign and independent states. It didn't say the United States. When you said United States back then, you meant the states that were united. United was an adjective. It wasn't part of a title.